We're back here with John DiLeo. He hasn't gotten sleep in a long time in preparation for this episode.
Oh, Sleepless in Seattle. I get it. Yes, we're here to talk about, again, my book, There Are No Small Parts, 100 Outstanding Film Performances with Screen Time of 10 Minutes or Less. Sleepless in Seattle was a very big hit. And I'd say it's one of the, I wouldn't say it was a classic, but it's certainly a pop classic in the sense that it's one, if you want to talk about things that are emblematic of the 1990s, I'd say a movie like Sleepless in Seattle would be something that everyone would recall as, oh yeah, that was that moment. Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan, America's sweethearts. Rita Wilson and her 5 minutes in Sleepless in Seattle. Some may know her best as being married to Tom Hanks, and Tom Hanks is, of course, the star of Sleepless in Seattle, alongside Meg Ryan in this Nora Ephron-directed comedy. And Rita Wilson has a couple of scenes, but she has one big scene, the reason she's in this book. And when, Tom Hanks, who's widowed, his young son is trying to fix him up with somebody, and Meg Ryan has written to him because they've done this radio show and everybody knows about Tom Hanks, and she suggests meeting at the top of the Empire State Building. Meg Ryan's a fan of the old movie An Affair to Remember from 1957. So is the Rita Wilson character. She plays Tom Hanks' sister. So at the mention of the Empire State Building, Rita Wilson's character launches into a synopsis of An Affair to Remember. So that's her big scene. So you got one movie paying tribute to another movie, and the nostalgia of this movie from 1957. So basically, of course, the old film is a soap opera, a love story, thwarted love, and then they get together, of course, at the end. But what's so delightful is that she starts to tell them the plot, and she's so overcome with the emotion of reliving the movie. And what's so charming about it and so funny about it is that it happens so helplessly. She's not planning to get emotionally invested in describing it, but she gets so lost in her description of Deborah Carr getting hit by the taxi and him not knowing what happened, why she didn't make their meeting at the Empire State Building that was planned for months. And so to watch, the guys, Tom Hanks, the little boy, and Victor Garber, who plays Rita Wilson's husband, they are all looking at her in utter disbelief that someone could get so emotionally overwhelmed by describing the plot of a movie. And she starts, crying, but she does it, I have to say she's a good funny crier. Not everyone can cry funny, but she really does. And like I said, it's so totally engaging. And then of course they're mocking her after she's done, and they start doing the same thing to her by describing the Dirty Dozen to her and getting all emotional and
That's a
crying and
funny scene.
laughing. And what I love about sort of the button on the scene for Rita Wilson, instead of not speaking to them or yelling at them, she laughs. So she's a good sport about the whole thing too. Now, ironically, the movie An Affair to Remember was remade 1 year after Sleepless in Seattle as Love Affair, which was the original title of the original version from 1939. So it was the third version, and it was Warren Beatty and Annette Bening, and it was not well received either critically or commercially. And so sort of like Sleepless in Seattle was really the An Affair to Remember of the 90s. Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan were really popular. He was really a superstar of the decade, and this is after When Harry Met Sally for her, so she really was one of the golden girls along with Julia Roberts of that decade. So there's that thing of, the audience interested in the people who represent the moment. It was also not only the age of When Harry Met Sally, but Pretty Woman, and so there was this kind of I wouldn't say golden age, but this sort of rush of popular romantic comedies. And so they just felt like the people of the moment. Rita Wilson hasn't had as many opportunities as an actress. I mean, I think I said she is mostly known as being married to Tom Hanks. And when I think of her as an actress, this is the scene I think of because it proved, wow, she is really funny. She is really good. Give her something good to do. And like I said, it's only 5 minutes of this movie. But I think everyone who has seen the movie and remembers the movie remembers that scene, since that An Affair to Remember is so essential to the plot of Sleepless in Seattle, and it's evoked best in the scene when Rita Wilson gives us the entire plot and basically has an emotional breakdown in the process. That's my favorite Rita Wilson performance.